Hey guys, it's me Elizabeth. I'm back with another video. This week I'm going to be doing another bookshelf tour 2022 edition. I don't know how different this is from the last bookshelf tour, but I know it's different because I know there's a lot of books I've gotten rid of and there's a lot of books that I have gotten since then. So I don't know how long this will be. I'm going to try to do it like I did last time. We'll see what I can do. But first I'm going to start off by showing you everything I have on my book cart, because in this I want to try to show you every single book I have and every single book thing that I have on my bookshelves. So I'm just trying to show you everything I have on my bookshelves and all of the books that I have, essentially. Like, I'm not leaving anything out that's not on my bookshelves. If there's anything, I'm not leaving anything out that's on my book cart or anything else. I want to show you everything because I think that'd be cool. So let's just get into it. I'm going to start with the book cart and all of the miscellaneous things around that are on my shelves, and then we'll get to the shelves. Okay, so excuse the crazy hair. Starting with the books that are not on my shelf, we have a couple here. I think these are all of them. I'm just going to mention this. I do have my Bible and another copy of the Bible down here. But these are the books that I have out because I'm reading them or because I'm supposed to be reading them. This one I'm supposed to be reading, but I'm not really reading it. But it's Legends and Lies by Bill O'Reilly. You will have probably seen this in my other bookshelf tours, but this, yeah, is one that I'm still reading. And then this one, which is just Aragon. I'm rereading this for the third time. And I've read the series all the way through once, but I'm reading this book specifically for the third time. And I'm a heckin' enjoying it. So I haven't read anything in the past couple of days, but I plan to read some at some point soon here. Onto the book cart. We have a lot of different things in here. So I'm just going to show you these. We have The Shining by Stephen King. A Spring Harvest by Jeffrey Batch Smith. One Piece by Ichiro Oda. Don't know if I pronounced that right, but it's volumes 1, 2, and 3. And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. A Man Called Ove by Frederick Bachman. Master and Commander by Patrick O'Brien. Paradise Restored by David Chilton. Anne of the Island by Ella Montgomery. The League of the Scarlet Pimpernel by Baroness Orczy. And I just want to mention a couple of other things that I have on this cart shelf thing because I have them here. This is a notebook. I put my book thoughts in there, but I don't actually use it very at all. And then I have this journal for reading, but I haven't really used it, so I need to do that. And then this is a little notebook. It's for writing words that I don't know what they mean. I can write them in here and figure out what they mean later. But I probably wrote like 10 words or 11 words in here or something, and I've only written the meaning for one of them. So that also kind of went down the drain a little bit. And then I have this Jane Austen word search. I just had this sitting there. I don't really know why, but I do. And then I have A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. I actually had set it there because I wanted to read it this past Christmas, I should say. And I didn't end up doing that, so that's the top of this shelf. It's kind of crazy. Now we're moving on to the second shelf. And the second shelf is mostly fantasy relating. So, yes, we have Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, A Crash of Fate by Zordia Cordova. I don't know if this is any good, but I found it at a thrift store for like $1 or so. That's the one book on the shelf that I've like no idea about. Most of the books on this shelf, I would actually say most of them are, I either got them at a used store or I got them in like a box with a whole bunch of books together. And so some of them are like, they're interesting, but they're not ones that like I've been wanting to read forever and ever and ever. They look good and I want to read them, most of them. I want to read all of them. If it's something that's questionable, I'm not keeping it. But it's not like a book that I've had on my list for years and years type of thing. That, I don't know if that made sense. Then we have Dividing Eden by Joelle Cherubanu. This came from the Dollar Tree, so that's how I got this, acquired this one, I guess. I don't know. I don't need to tell you where I got every single book, but there you go. And then we have Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter. We have Iron Foot by Dave Duncan. The Night's Darkest by Erin Morgenstern. No, I haven't read this book yet. I still plan to read it, but I haven't. The Spiderwick Chronicles by Tony Ditzarelli and Holly Black. The Field Guide. This is book 1. Ink Spell by Cornelia Funk. I really want to get a nicer copy because this one's like half falling apart. But I really want to read this soon because I really loved the first book. So, yeah. Dragon Rider, also by Cornelia Funk. Also really interested by this one because it's by the same author and she seems to be a good writer and it's about dragon riders, so dragons, I'm always in for dragons. Then we have Seeing Red by Frank Bedore. This is the Looking Glass Wars. I believe this is either book 2 or 3 or something, but I definitely want to get the first one and read the series because it looks really good. And then we have The 13th Reality by James Dashner. I'm not the biggest fan of James Dashner anymore, but this book actually sounds like it would be really good, so I am gonna give it a chance. And then we have Modern Fairies, Dwarves, Goblins, and Other Nazties, A Practical Guide by Miss Edith McVeigh, as told by Leslie M.M. Bloom. So this next one is the very bottom shelf. I usually don't show the books on that shelf because they're just kind of duplicates, but I kind of want to explain the bottom shelf on my book cart because some people might wonder what the heck is going on with it because I never show it or whatever. But basically, I have what I like to call a paperback library, and anytime I have a duplicate book for some reason, either I accidentally bought a copy of a book that I already had, or someone else got me a book that I already have, or I found a hardcover of a book that I really want in hardcover and I have the paperback. This is where I put them. I call it my paperback library, and I only keep books that I think are worth reading or that I like, books that I like. And so, I don't just keep random books. Like, I only keep the ones that I like, that I've read and liked, basically. And it's a library because it are books that other people can borrow if they ever want to read these type of books. So, if you are someone who knows me personally and talks to me, and you want to borrow any of these books, contact me because that's what they're here for. So, this is kind of a random one, but I have Battle of the Labyrinth book 4 in the Percy Jackson series, but I don't know why I have this random paperback. I like these covers better than the new ones. I think that's why I got this at a thrift store, because I was like, I'm going to get this because this is better than the new covers. And I also have the next one I can show you, if I can pull them out. That is the rest of the books. All 5 books in the Percy Jackson series, but these are the new covers, which not a huge fan of at all, especially when you compare them to the old covers. But we have The Lightning Thief, The Sea of Monsters, Titan's Curse, Battle of the Labyrinths, and The Last Olympian. Yeah, these aren't the best books in the world, but they are fun. I used to love them, so. And then I have Aragon and Inheritance by Christopher Bellini. These are my paperback editions. I still need to get the hardcover for Brithinger, so eventually I'll have Brithinger in here too. But right now, I don't have the hardcover because I just don't. I don't really know. And then we have a random paperback of Goblet of Fire because I still don't have all of my Harry Potter books in the right hardcover, so there'll be the third one in here too. But this is Goblet of Fire, and I also have The Sorcerer's Stone. I would actually like to get the paperback for all of these so I can have the hardcover and paperback because it's my favorite series ever, and I don't know. And also I can have them all from my Paperback Library, so anyone can borrow them, and it will be awesome. So that would be cool someday. Then I have Tower of Dawn by Sarah J. Maas. This is one of the books in the Throne of Glass series. I found this at a thrift store for like $1, and I was like, I'll add that to my Paperback Library. And then I also have Air of Fire because I ordered this as a present for somebody, and it didn't come. And I thought that like something was wrong with it, that it wasn't going to come or something. And then I had to order another one because I thought this was like canceled or it wasn't whatever. And then like a couple of weeks after Christmas or whatever, this was like not this past year, but I think the year before, it came. So then I had this extra copy laying around. It's brand new, and I was like, I'll keep it for my Paperback Library because I already own the whole series on my shelves. You'll see later. So I didn't need to keep it or anything like that. Then we have a bunch more books over here. Let's see. We have The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. This is obviously just a paperback. This is like really dusty as well. And then we have The Hobbit. This is my mass market paperback edition, which I hate mass market paperback. There you go. And some more mass market paperback. We have Ivanhoe by Sir Walter Scott. I honestly don't know why I stuck this in here, because I have an old edition of Ivanhoe, like one that I found in an antique store. But if I ever want to read it, I should probably read this edition. I don't know. It's also mass market paperback, so that's most likely why I put it in here. And then we have Taliesin by Stephen R. Lawhead, which I have. This is also the mass market paperback edition, which, ooh. But I received that book twice last year for Christmas. Not this past year, but in 2020. I accidentally asked 2 people for it, so it is what it is. And then I have the Scarlet Pimpernel. This is again the mass market paperback edition, and not a fan of mass market paperbacks, like I said, so that's why I put them there. And then we also have Mockingjay by Suzanne Collins. This stack is going to fall over soon. And then we have 100 Cupboards by N.D. Wilson and The Canterbury Tales by Geoffrey Chaucer. This one is brand new, but I accidentally bought this at a bookstore, not realizing I already owned it. And it's mass market paperback, so I like the other edition I have better. And then this one, I actually don't have on my shelves, but it's like falling apart, and I want to get these in hardcover because I used to love this series when I was younger, so I want to get nice editions of these. The Hidden Staircase by Carolyn Keene. The Bungalow Mystery by Carolyn Keene. So I'm just going to point out the books because I'm not going to pull them all off the shelves right this second, because I just organized them and I don't want to destroy it, so let's just redirect you over here. Over here we have Mark Twain 5 novels. The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, Prince and the Pauper, Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court, Tragedy of Pudd'nhead Wilson. And then we have The Complete Sherlock Holmes by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, A Child's Garden of Verses by Robert Louis Stevenson, Jane Austen, Pride and Prejudice, Sense and Sensibility, and Northanger Abbey. Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. The Old Curiosity Shop by Charles Dickens. Emma by Jane Austen. Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. The Treasury of American Short Stories, selected by Nancy Sullivan. The Three Musketeers by Alexander Dumas. Charlemagne by Harold Lamb. Treasury of Hans Christian Andersen. The Lute Player by Nora Lofts. Nicholas Nickleby by Charles Dickens. Tom Sawyer Abroad and Other Stories by Mark Twain. A Prisoner of the Sea by Chancey C. Hotchkiss. Little Men by Louisa May Alcott. Little Dorrit by Charles Dickens. An Old-Fashioned Girl by Louisa May Alcott. Nicholas Nickleby by Charles Dickens. Ivanhoe by Sir Walter Scott. The Scarlet Pimpernel by Baroness Orczy. Enid and Bennett by Gilbert Conan. And King Solomon's Mines by H. Rider Haggard. This shelf is going to be the most difficult because there's actually a line of books behind this line of books, so let's get on with it. Little House on the Prairie. So we have Little House in the Big Woods, Farmer Boy, Little House on the Prairie, On the Banks of Plum Creek, By the Shores of Silver Lake, Long Winter, Little Town on the Prairie, These Happy Golden Years, and The First 4 Years, all written by Laura Ingalls Wilder. Then we have Laura Ingalls Wilder, a biography by William Anderson. Then we have Anne of Green Gables, Anne of Avonlea, Anne of Windy Willows, Anne's House of Dreams, Anne of Ingleside, Rainbow Valley, Villa of Ingleside by Ella Montgomery, Emily's Quest by Ella Montgomery, Anne of Green Gables by Ella Montgomery, The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett, Heidi by Joanna Spyri, and then, moving over here, we have my Charles Dickens stack. So we have A Tale of Two Cities, Barnaby Rudge, Little Dorrit, Great Expectations, David Copperfield, and Oliver Twist. And down here we have Inventing Scrooge by Carlo DeVito. Over here we have Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Other Classic Works by Lewis Carroll, Elizabeth Gaskell, Cranford, Baroness Orczy's The Scarlet Pimpernel, Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen, An Old-Fashioned Girl by Louisa May Alcott, Eight Cousins by Louisa May Alcott, and Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. Then we also have The Etiquette of Letter Writing. In the back here we have Anne of Green Gables, 3 volumes in 1, Anne of Green Gables, a graphic novel, Anne of Green Gables, Anne of Green Gables, Anne of Green Gables, Anne of Green Gables, Anne of Green Gables. That's a lot, I know, but I collect different editions, so that's, yeah. And then we have Mary Poppins in the Park by P.L. Travers. We have The Hound of the Baskervilles by Arthur Conan Doyle. Les Miserables by Victor Hugo. Canterbury Tales by Geoffrey Chaucer. Homer's The Iliad. The Phantom of the Opera by Gaston Leroux. And hiding behind here where you can't exactly see it is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. And way back here we have this book, which is a collection of classic stories and poems of Vintage Christmas by Louisa May Alcott, Charles Dickens, Montgomery and Mark Twain, and more. And then in the way back we have a ginormous book of Jane Austen's 8 novels. I don't know where else to fit it, so it sits way back there. Next we have our history. We have Greek myths and legends. We have Joan of Arc by Catherine Harrison. We have How to Save Irish Civilization by Thomas Cahill. The Heroines of Mersey Street, the Real Nurses of the Civil War by Pamela D. Toller. We have Blood for Blood by Ryan Grouting. Past Guard at Wypes by Ronald Gurner. Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank. 20 Hours and 40 Minutes by Amelia Earhart. Bonhoeffer, Pastor, Martyr, Prophet, Spy by Eric McTassis. Seabiscuit by Laura Hillenbrand. Unbroken by Laura Hillenbrand, Don't Give Up, Don't Give In by Louis Zamperini and David Renson, The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak, Band of Brothers by Stephanie Ambrose, Celtic Myths and Legends by W.T. Ralston, and Life in a Medieval Castle by Joseph and Francis Geese. Over here is our Christian. We have this really old edition of the New Testament. We have one of my old Bibles, Poems by C.S. Lewis, The Screwtape Letters by C.S. Lewis, Kids Off the Block by Diane Latiker, The Light from Behind the Sun by Douglas Wilson, This Fake Book, and Tinashe by Jewel Carter. Over here we have our stack of overly large books. Here we have this little address book that's Jane Austen inspired. Here we have the Winemaker's Guidebook. We have Look and Find, Disney Pixar's Ratatouille. We have Passport to the World. We have Walter Wick's Can You See What I See? Once Upon a Time. We have The Tea Dragon Society by Katie O'Neill. We have Dragonology, The Complete Book of Dragons. We have an Eyewitness Books, Pirates. We have All About History, Book of Pirates. Star Wars Original Complete Visual Dictionary. We have Heritage Cookbook by Better Homes and Gardens. The Victorian Dressmaker by Isabella Pitcher from Prior Attire, and Authentic Victorian Fashion Patterns, A Complete Lady's Wardrobe by Christina Harris. Over here we have some more historical fashion and random type books. We have Collection of the Cato Costume Institute Fashion, History from the 18th to the 20th Century, 19th Century Fashion in Detail by Lucy Johnson, Costume Through the Ages, over 1,400 illustrations, Victorian and Edwardian Fashions for Women by Christina Harris. We have Victorian and Edwardian Fashion, a photographic survey. We have The History of Underclothes. We have a book that's something I created, made up myself. We have Patterns of Fashion 2 by Janet Arnold. We have some random cookbooks in here that, are random. And then we have Edwardian Cooking, 80 Recipes Inspired by Downton Abbey's Elegant Meals by Larry Edwards. We have The Adventurous Eaters Club by Misha and Vicky Collins. We have Nicholas Sparks, A Walk to Remember, Lessons Learned by Cimarelli, Casual Vacancy by J.K. Rowling, Frederick Bachman, Anxious People, Downton Abbey, A Celebration by Jessica Fellows, forward by Julian Fellows. We have Doctor Who, 365 Days, Doctor Who, The Doctrinary, Doctor Who, How to Be a Time Lord, Psych, A Mind is a Terrible Thing to Read, and Psych's Guide to Crime Fighting by Sean Spencer and Gus Berngusser. Moving on to my black shelf, which is my fantasy shelf. Over here we have the Percy Jackson series, all 5 books, same ones that I mentioned earlier. Here we have the Hunger Games series, The Hunger Games, Catching Fire, and Mockingjay. Then we have Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir, and we have Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children and Hello City by Ransom Riggs, The Archives and the Unbound by Victoria Schwab. Over here we have my Leigh Bardugo stack. We have Shadow and Bone, Siege and Storm, Ruin and Rising, Six of Crows, Crooked Kingdom, King of Scars, and Rule of Wolves. And the last 3 books we have are by Kathy Reichs. We have These Are Dead, Exposure, and 206 Bones. Next, this shelf is books that I haven't read. The shelf down there is full of mostly books I've read. So over here we have The Toll by Neil Shusterman, The Conference of Birds by Ransom Riggs, The Language of Thorns by Leigh Bardugo, Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie, Uprooted by Naomi Novak. Here is my King Arthur and Robin Hood stack. We have King Arthur, A Brief History by Mike Ashley, The Prophet and His History, Merlin by Jeffrey Ashe, Arthurian Legends by Rosalind Curban, Idylls of the King by Alfred Lord Tennyson, The Arthurian Handbook by Jeffrey Ashe, Taliesin by Stephen R. Lawhead, Camelot Shadow by Sarah Zattel, Robin Hood by Howard Pyle, and Hood by Stephen R. Lawhead. Over here we have Elvin by Bernhard Heaven, The Magician and The Secrets of the Immortal Nicholas Flamel, Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman, Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss, Fable by Adrian Young, The Land of Stories, The Wishing Spell by Chris Culver, and The Story of Alice, Lewis Carroll and the Secret History of Wonderland by Robert Douglas Fairhurst. Over here we have our Sarah J. Maas. We have The Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, Heir of Fire, Queen of Shadows, Empire of Storms, Tower of Dawn, and Kingdom of Ash. Over here we have our Brandon Sanderson. In the back where you can't see it, we have Elantris, we have Edge Dancer, The Way of Kings, Words of Radiance, Oathbringer, Warbreaker, The Rhythmist, and Skyward. Over here, this is my favorites books that are on the actual shelves. We have a old camera over here. We have some dragon's blood that I just created this myself. And we also have some dragon scales, just some glitter. We have Grimm's Complete Fairy Tales, Aragon, this is just the slip cover for the book I'm reading, Fork the Witch and the Worm, Eldest, Brithinger, Inheritance, and To Sleep in a Sea of Stars. Over here, we have Tolkien. We have The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, The Hobbits of Tolkien by David Day, A Dictionary of Tolkien by David Day, Flora and Fauna of the Middle-earth, and The Silmarillion. Top shelf is my children's books. We have a random old pocket watch and a random old key, and this stack is pushed back. It needs fixed because this one needs to go on the very bottom, and I will fix that then. So back here we have a bunch of William Shakespeare works in this box, and then we have The Golden Goose by Ella Leslie Brooke, Everything I Need to Know I Learned from Peanuts by Charles M. Schultz, Hansel and Gretel. We have The Miserable Mill. This is a movie edition of the book 4 in a series of unfortunate events. We have The Bad Beginning, The Reptile Room, The Wide Window, The Miserable Mill, The Austere Academy, Rierstadt's Edelweiss, Vile Village, The Hospital, Carnivorous Carnival, The Slippery Slope, The Grim Grotto, The Penultimate Peril, and The End, all in a series of unfortunate events by Lemony Snicket. And then we have Peter Rabbit, The Tale of Peter Rabbit, The Tale of Benjamin Bunny, The Tale of Two Bad Mice, The Tale of Mrs. Tiggy Winkle, The Tale of Mr. Jeremy Fisher, The Tale of Tom Kitten, and The Tale of Sammy Whiskers, all by Beatrix Potter. And then we have Narnia, we have The Lion, Witch, and Wardrobe, Prince Caspian, Voyage of the Dawn Treader, The Silver Chair, Horse and His Boy, Magician's Nephew, Last Battle, all by C.S. Lewis. Over here, we have The Wing Feather Tales by Andrew Peterson. We have Bridge to Terabithia by Catherine Patterson. We have Adventures of Tom Sawyer by Mark Twain, Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas, Sherlock Holmes and the Case of the Hound of the Baskervilles by Arthur Conan Doyle. We have The Tale of Despereaux by Katie DeMello, The Ichabod by J.K. Rowling, On the Edge of the Dark Sea of Darkness, North Will Be Eaten, Monster in the Hollows, Warden and the Wolf King, all by Andrew Peterson, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll, The Wind in the Willows by Kenneth Grahame, Pinocchio by Carlo Collado, and Peter Pan and Kensington Gardens by J.M. Barrie. Right, so that is the bookshelf tour. I hope you enjoyed it. It wasn't exactly like I did it last time, but it was just easier to do it this way. Now you know all the books I have. A lot of them are the same, but there's a lot that has left, and a lot that has also come and new and stuff, and I will probably get more books this year, but that is my bookshelf tour for 2022. If you enjoyed this video and want to support me, you can like the video down below and subscribe, and please comment down below any video ideas you would have for me. I will be willing to try anything out. And if you're into history, historical, fashion, or slang, you can also check my other channel down below, and I will see you in the next video. I hope you have your own fun reading adventure.